Hello, welcome to Talk Math. Today we're going to be doing problems 10 through 16 of the 2021 AMC 12A. Now, problem 10 starts off with two different cones. First one, they have the same volume of liquid inside, but the first one has a radius of 3 and the second one has a radius 6. Then a sphere with radius 1 is added to both of them, so obviously the volume is going to raise up in both of them. And now the question has to find the ratio of the change in the height of this one. It's the ratio of the height of the change in this one. So let's start this. Let's first figure out how much volume is in these. What's the difference between the initial height of those? So the volume of this one is going to be 3 squared, which is 9 pi, times the height over 3, h1 I'll call this, and then this one, let's call it h2, so it's going to be 36 pi times h2 over 3, and we know that these are equal. So we can multiply both sides by 3, so we have dividing by 9 pi, h1 is equal to 4h2. Now, because it doesn't matter exactly what h1 and h2 are, let's just give them a value. So let's just say h2 is 1, which means that h1 is going to be 4. And that ensures that the initial volumes are the same. So now what do we do? Well, now we need to figure out what the volume is. What is the initial volume? Well, it's going to be 3 squared, which is 9 pi over 3, which is 3 pi, times 4, which is 12 pi. But then we're adding the sphere of radius 1. The sphere of radius 1 will have a volume of 4/3 pi. So both of these will have a volume, combining these fractions, of 40 pi over 3. They will both have this volume after the ball is added. So now I need to figure out what the new height is. Well, if we were to extend this up and call this whole thing h2, then this radius, this new radius, is going to be h2 times 3/4. So now the new volume is going to be pi times this squared, so h2 squared times 9 over 16 times 1/3 times pi, and that has to equal 40 pi over 3. So I'm going to cancel this pi over 3 with this pi over 3, and then I'm going to, sorry, I wrote the pi twice, my bad. So then multiplying, I forgot to multiply the height as well. So then the height is going to be h2 again, so this should really be h2 cubed. So now we can multiply both sides by 16 over 9, so you have h2 cubed, which is going to equal to 40 times 16, 40 times 16, all over 9. Now, when you cube root this is, in the numerator, 40 is the same thing as 8 times 5, which is the same thing as 10 times 64. So we can take the 64 out to the front and make this a 4 cube root of 10 over 9. Now, we want the difference between this height and the original height. The original height is 4. So the difference between those is going to be 4 cube root of 10 ninths minus 4. Now, what's the difference in height on this one? Well, so we know that, again, the volume is equal to 40 pi over 3, and it's also equal to the new height. I'm going to call it h3, I guess. Sorry, I reused h2 twice. But, so we're going to have h3 is the height, and then the radius is going to be 6 times h3 squared times pi over 3. Again, you can cancel out this pi over 3, and then we're going to divide both sides by 36 to get 40 over 36 equals h3 cubed. So h3 is going to be equal to the cube root of, again, 10 over 9. So the difference between the new volume and the old volume is going to be cube root of 10 over 9 minus 1. So now all we have to do is find the ratio from this to this. And, well, we see the ratio is 4 to 1 because this is 4 times this. So the ratio is 4 to 1, and our answer choice is E, and we're done with the problem. Moving on to question 11, we have Larry starts at the point 3, 5, and he tries shining a laser off the y-axis, then bouncing off the x-axis, and then trying to run to the point 7, 5. So if we draw the path, it will look something like this. Now, if you notice, these look like they're about 90-degree angles, and every time this bounces off the wall, we can really think of this as reflecting at 180 degrees. So instead of bouncing 90 degrees, we can actually keep going straight like this. And if you note, hitting this point is the same thing as hitting this point, because this distance right here, from here to here, is the same as this distance from here to here. So again, this point is the same exact thing as if we were to rotate it about the origin. So if this is the point 7, 5, then you have this point over here is going to be -7, -5. And remember, this is the point 3, 5. Now the problem asks us to find the distance between this point, the whole distance it travels from here to here to here to here. That's the same thing as finding distance between this point and this point. Because we have this length from here to here is the same as this length. This part is equal in the original segment. So now it's just the distance formula. So we have 3 minus -7 is 10, so 10 squared, and then 5 minus -5 is another 10 squared. So root 10 squared plus 10 squared is going to equal 10 root 2, which answer choice C, and we're done with the problem. Moving on to question 12, we have that all of the roots of this polynomial are integers, and our goal is to find the value of b. Well, I immediately see that we have a negative 10 right here, and we have a 16 over here, and so I think of b as formulas. Because we know that the sum of the roots is negative b over a, in this case 10, and we know that the product of the roots is going to be, because it's an even polynomial, is going to be 16. So the product must be 16. And remember, because these to the 6th power, there's going to be 6 total roots. Well, let's just play around and see if we can guess the roots, because we know the roots must be integers. Well, with product, how can we get 16? Well, let's just say we have 2, 2, 2, 2, and then 2 1s. And if you look, those do indeed add up to 10. So these happen to be all of the roots. So we can write this polynomial as z minus 2 to the 4th times z minus 1 squared. Now all we need to do is expand this out and find the coefficient on the z cubed term. Expanding this out, we have the z minus 1 quantity squared is z squared minus 2z plus 1. And expanding this out, we're going to have a z to the 4th minus some coefficient z cubed plus some coefficient z squared minus some coefficient z plus some number. So the number at the end is going to be plus 16. Okay, and then the coefficient on the z is going to be 8 times 4, which is 32. The coefficient here is going to be 6 times 4, which is 24. The coefficient of here is going to be 4 times 2, which is 8. And now what we need to do is find the z cubed. And then we can get a z cubed by taking the z squared and multiplying it by this negative 32. So you have a negative 32. Then another way is to take this negative 2z and multiply it by the 24. So we have a minus 48. Or we can have the plus 1 and then minus 8z cubed. So it's a minus 8. And that's equal to negative 88. So the answer is A, and we're done with the problem. Question 13 asks for which of the following complex z is the real part of z to the 5th the greatest. Now, in order to do this, let's just go through each one and take each one to the 5th power. So negative 2 to the 5th power is obviously negative 32. And skipping down to another easy one, we have 2i to the 5th power is going to be 32i. And this obviously has a real part of 0. So now it's just between these. And this is negative, so maybe we're looking for a positive real part. So this, we know we can rewrite this as 2 cis of 150. Because it's negative root 3 over 2, comma 1/2 times 2. And now this, taking this to the 5th power, is going to be equal to 32 cis of 150 times 5, which is going to be 750. But 750 subtracting 360 from that, that's the same thing as 32 cis. We can subtract 360 twice, so actually this is 32 cis 30. Now remember, we only want the real part, so we're going to take cosine only. Cosine of 30 is going to be 1 over root 3. Sorry, root 3 over 2. So this is going to be equal to 16 root 3, the real part. So then moving on to this one, this is the same thing as 2 cis of 135, where cis is cosine plus I sine of theta. And now we're taking this to the 5th power, so this is going to be equal to 32 cis of 135 times 5 is going to be 675, which equals 32 cis of negative 45. And then this is going to be equal to, cis of negative 45 is root 2 over 2, so this is going to be 16 root 2. Okay, now moving on with D, we have this is the same thing as 2 cis of 120 to the power 5, which equals 32 cis 360. Now, sorry, not 360, 600. Now we can subtract 360, this equals 32 cis of 240. However, I know that that's going to be negative, but the real part of that is going to be negative because it's on the side, so I'm just not even going to look at that. So the greater of these two is going to be answer choice B, and we're done with the problem. Question 14 asks us to evaluate the product of these two summations. So simplifying this, we have that this is the same thing as a sum from k equals 1 to 20. Now, because this is 5 to the k, we can actually write this as 1 over k log base 5. And then we also take this k squared, though, to the front, and write this as log base 5 of 3. And now note this k squared and k cancel, just giving us a k right here. Now the second summation, sorry, I'll make this a little bigger. Second summation is a sum from k equals 1 to 100 of, again, using the same thing, we can bring this k to the front and k to the front, giving us just a log base 9 of 25. Okay, well, these you can both evaluate pretty easily. This, we can factor out the log base 5 of 3, and then have a sum from 1 to 20 of k, which is 20 times 21 over 2 times the log base 5 of 3. Now for this part, we have 100 times 100 times log base 9 of 25. But then again, because the 9 is 3 squared and 25 is 5 squared, this is the same thing as log base 3 of 5. So log base 3 of 5 cancels with log base 5 of 3. We're left with 20 over 2 is 10. So we have 21 times 1,000 is going to be 21 with 3 zeros. So answer choice E, and we're done with the problem. Question 15 asks how many ways are there to choose a group of singers from 6 tenors and 8 basses, but the requirement is that the difference between the amount in each has to be multiple of 4. And there has to be a singer, so you can't have 0 of each. Now, first, let's just write out how this can happen. Well, you can have 0 tenors and 4 bases, or you can have 1 and 5, or you can have 2 and 6, or you can have 3 and 7, or you can have 4 and 8, or you can have 0 and 8. And now, what about the other way? So you can have 0 of these and 4 of these, 1 of these and 5 of these, 2 of these and 6 of these. And then also, you can have the same amount for all of them. So we can have a 1, 1, or 2, 2, or 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. Now what we need to do is calculate how many ways each one of these can happen. So we're going to get 6 choose 0, and then times 8 choose 4, plus 6 choose 1 times 8 choose 5, plus 6 choose 2 times 8 choose 6. So it's a little bit bashy, but it shouldn't take too long. So 6 choose 0 is going to be 1. So you have 1 times 8 choose 4. I'm going to write this off the side because we're using these numbers a lot. So writing 8 choose 4 is going to be equal to 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 over 4 times 3 times 2. So these cancel here, giving us 10 times 7, which equals 70. So you have 8 choose 4 is equal to 70. So now I'm going to also calculate the rest. So you have 8 choose 3 is going to be equal to 8 times 7 times 6 over 3 times 2, which equals 56. Now we have 8 choose 2 is going to be equal to 8 times 7 over 2, which is 28. And now I'm going to make 6 choose 3 is going to be equal to 6 times 5 times 4 over 3, which is going to be 20. And then you have 6 choose 2 is going to be equal to 6 times 5 over 2, which is 3 times 5, which equals 15. Okay, so now plugging everything, we have 8 choose 4, which we said was 70. Okay, now we have 6 choose 1, which is 6 times 8 choose 5. Well, 8 choose 5 is the same as 8 choose 3. So 6 times 56, which is 336. I'm going to get rid of this 1 times. Okay, now we have 6 choose 2, which is 15, times 8 choose 6, which is the same as 8 choose 2. So we have 15 times 28, which is the same thing as 420. Okay, now we have 6 choose 3, which is 20, times 8 choose 7, which is 8, so that's going to give us 160. Okay, now we have 6 choose 4, which is right here is 15. And then we have 8 choose 8, which is 1, so that's just going to be 15. 0, this is going to be 1, 6 choose 0, and 8 choose 8. And then you have 6 choose 4 is 15, times 1 is 15. Okay, now you have a 6 choose 5, which is 6, times 8 is 48. Now you have a 1 times 8 choose 2, which is 28. Now we have a 6 choose 1 times 8 choose 1, which is 48. Okay, now we have a 6 choose 2 times 8 choose 2, which is 28 times 15 again, which that's 420. Okay, so then 6 choose 3 times 8 choose 3 is going to be 56 times 20, which is going to be 1120. Now you have 6 choose 4 times 8 choose 4, so 15 times 70, which is going to be 1050. Okay, now you have 6 choose 5 times 8 choose 5, which is going to be 6 times 56, which is going to be 336. And then we're going to have a 6 choose 6, which is 1 times 8 choose 6, which is the same thing as 8 choose 2, which is 28. So now what we need to do is add up all these numbers, so I'm just going to do that right here. So we have a 6 plus 5 is 11, 12 plus 5 is 17, plus 16 is going to be 33, carry the 3. So 3 plus 7 is 10, 13, 15, plus 6 is 21, plus 1 is 22, plus 1 is 23, 27, 29, carry the 2. So we have 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 4 is 9, so that's 10, so we have 10, 1093. Okay, now moving on to this section, when we're adding up all of these, we're going to get 8 plus 6, which is 14, plus 8 is 22, carry the 2. Okay, so then we have a 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 2 is 8, 9, 10, 10 and 5 is 15, 18, and 2 is 20, so 0, carry the 2. And then 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10, 0, carry the 1, 1, 2, 3, 3002. So now we can add up these numbers, and we get 4095, and we see the last two digits is 95, which is answer choice D, and we're done with the problem. Question 16 asks us to find the median of the sequence, where there's 1, 1, 2 2s, 3 3s, and all the way up to 200 200s. So in order to find the median of the sequence, first we want to know how many terms are there. And we can do that by taking, well, there's 1 of these, 2 of these, 3 of these, up to 200, so we can use 200 times 201 over 2, there's 2, 0, 1, 0, 0 terms. Now, in order to find the median, we want to take half of that, so we have 1, 0, 0, 5, 0 is going to be the median term, averaged with 1, 0, 0, 5, 1, since there's an even amount of terms. So, how can we find the 10,050th term? Well, again, we can just say that the n times n plus 1 over 2 is going to be equal to 1,050. However, this is not going to be quite accurate because it's going to end, it might end a little bit before this, a little bit after, but let's just try to find a close approximation for now. Now I'm going to multiply this 2 to both sides actually, so we have a n times n plus 1 has to be approximately, because remember we're only trying to find something close, to 2, 0, 1, 0, 0. So now taking inspiration from the answers, I think 100.5 is going to be a little too low, so let's just try seeing 134 works. So plugging n to 130, so we're going to take 134 times 133 and see what we get. If it's approximately this, then we can go from there. If not, we can try another answer. 2 times 4 is 12, carry the 1, 3 which is 9, gives you 10. 4, again, you have a 12, carry the 1, there's 9, 10, carry the 1, it's 4, and then you have a 134. So now adding up all these, we get 2, 2, 8, 7, 1. And note, that's not very close. So that's probably not it. So let's look at the next answer choice and see what we have. The next answer choice is 142. So let's see what happens if we take 141 times 142. So we have a 142, 0, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1, 4 times 1 is 4 is 5. Then we have 0, 0, 1, 4, 2. Adding up those, we get 0, 4 and 8 is 12, carry the 1. It's going to be a 10, carry the 1. It's going to be, again, carry the 1. That's really close to what we wanted. It was only off by a little bit. So we know now that dividing this by 2, that the 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, the 10,010th term is going to be the last 141, which means that the next 142 terms are all going to be 142. And so that means both of these terms are going to be 142. So the average is 142. So the answer is C. And we're done with the problem. Thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more like it, and feel free to leave any comments or suggestions down below.